Your prospects ghost you because they never felt safe being honest with you in the first place. And it's not totally your fault. The way that salespeople have historically been trained to respond to objections is to crush them, to bulldoze them, to tackle them. So I have a very simple mindset pivot and then a 3-step framework to make sure that you never get ghosted again. The reality is that no buyers want to be on the call with combative sellers. And so the first thing that you need to do is shift your mindset. Next time you hear an objection, I need you to train your brain, maybe your body, to respond to it with gratitude. Now, hear me out. The alternative to hearing an objection is always worse, because if you're not hearing the objection, it means they are hanging up on you. It means they are lying to you. It means they are saying nothing, right? Like it is a tacit ignore of the concern, the question, the objection that they had, which means you're going to get ghosted later and you're never going to know why. That means that when you do hear an objection, it's a net positive. Yes, if you were hearing the same objection over and over and over again, especially if it's on cold calls or like it's always at the exact same time in your pitch, that's an indication to you that there's something going wrong with your talk track that you need to fix. But for the most part, hearing an objection is a gift. It means that your prospect trusts you with that information. So that means that you need to greet that gift of an objection, that gift of their trust with gratitude. When you do hear those objections, I'm going to teach you a 3-step framework that you can use to respond to them, but I need you to embrace that shift of an attitude to gratitude because that's going to allow you to greet those objections with curiosity, and curiosity is the first step in the 3-step approach to responding to objections. I teach the 3C objection approach, which is curiosity, conversation, conclusion, because it is a way to approach responding to objections that doesn't require you to read a script like you are a robot. The first step, curiosity, it means that you need to greet that objection with genuine curiosity. If the only thing that you are aiming to do with the objection is still to bulldoze it, you've not fully embraced the idea of responding to objections with gratitude. So like you really do need to care about your prospects and about the problems they're solving and how your product or solution can help them reach those outcomes that they want. So first, you need to be genuinely curious about your prospects, about their needs, their challenges, their opportunities. Number 2, and this is the meat of the 3C objection approach, is conversation. And this is going to be maybe another big mindset shift. What I find is that because the old ways of objection handling are so combative, that we as salespeople think there's only one positive outcome to handling an objection, that there's only one thing that can happen after we hear an objection that means that we've done a good job, and that means that we have tackled it, we have overcome it, we have solved for it. And I'm going to push back on that. Obviously, a best case scenario is that we were able to have a conversation and reach a win-win outcome with our prospect that allows us to move the sales conversation forward. But you and I both know, anybody that's been in sales for more than a few months knows that that is not always how sales calls go after you hear an objection. So you're going to greet the objection with curiosity, and you are going to use a new benchmark of continuing the conversation. So you're going to turn that curiosity into an opportunity to ask one more question. Your new metric of success when you hear objections is that if you can ask one more question that continues the conversation, chalk it up to a win. And here's why that's so important. Because by focusing on only asking the next question, by focusing on how do I just keep this conversation going in a meaningful, in a way that isn't combative, but instead is consultative, trust me, that's going to lead to a lot more positive outcomes than if you skip right to where your end goal is, which is the only reason that's worth continuing this conversation is if I can get this person to agree to continue to let me sell them. So you need to be curiosity driven, turn that curiosity into a question that allows you to continue the conversation. And if you can ask one more question that continues the conversation, like that is a W. And then that brings me to conclusion, which is a litmus test for you to say, yeah, sure, the best case scenario is making sure that my talk track, that my questions, that my conversation skills are strong enough that whenever possible, I am using my objection handling skills to set up next steps in a sales conversation. But when that isn't possible, I challenge you to think about what other positive outcomes you can reach during the conclusion. So some questions that I offer you are asking yourself, like, what can I learn? So if you are hearing the same objection a lot, particularly if you're hearing it at the same exact point in your cold call or in your discovery call, that is an opportunity for you to ask, like, what can this teach me? What can I learn to improve my conversation skill or improve my talk track for future calls? You can ask, what knowledge can I share with this person? Maybe there's an opportunity to help them understand that they are sort of misdiagnosing their problem. Maybe there's an opportunity to share a helpful article that you've read, or you can, introduce them to somebody. And then certainly the last one is asking yourself, like, how can I leave this prospect in a better position than I found them before? So there are a lot of opportunities to be helpful, to share knowledge, to improve your own sales skills. And those are ways that you can get positive conclusions, like you can get wins after you hear an objection that aren't the ideal outcome of being able to continue a conversation, because we know that that is not always possible. But all of these hedge in your ability to be able to transition your mindset from what the narrative around objections has always been, tackle them into oblivion, to an attitude of gratitude, so that you can show up with a sense of curiosity. You can use that curiosity to create a new benchmark for success, which is, can I ask one question that allows me to continue the conversation after I hear an objection? That's going to get you better conclusions. Like, trust me when I say you are going to get more positive outcomes, because the prospect will keep their zone of resistance down. Like, they won't feel like it's a combative conversation. And so their psychological reluctance will be lower. The conversations will be of higher quality and will get you better outcomes. But even when you can't get the ideal outcome of a sales next step, there are those opportunities to share knowledge, to learn and grow yourself, and to understand how you can help, like how you can leave that prospect better off than you found them. So if you never want to get ghosted again, or at the very least, you want to figure out how to not get ghosted because you've created a hostile environment where your prospect does not feel safe being honest with you, you need to make that mindset pivot, and you need to embrace the 3C objection approach that I teach. If you're willing to give that a try, kudos to you. Do it and then come back and report in the comments for how it went, and make sure to like and subscribe for more.